Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. This is episode 82, not 28, 82. I'm trying to do this backwards forwards thing. It seems kind of fun sometimes, but other times it seems corny. Look, I hope everybody's doing well. We're getting close to Christmas. This year has flown by. I mean, like lightning. It just feels like just yesterday we were enjoying spring. And for those of you who know me, who've been paying attention, we're in that cold spot. You know, I don't like that cold, man. I'm waiting for the spring because I hate the cold. So stay warm out there and, you know, think of positive, warm thoughts. That's what I'm doing because we got a little cold front pushing on up here. So, hey, hopefully this will be breaking new territory today because I'm going to be adding a little something here different that I haven't done before. So let me get into my things that interest me, and then I'm going to bring on a special guest. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is a dirty play versus a dirty player in sports. Now, they're two separate things. Anybody can make a dirty play, right? You have guys that you don't normally think would do something. So, okay, let me use Patrick Mahomes as far as football, or let me see, somebody in the NBA, Steph Curry. Let me use them. They can both make a play that's uncharacteristic of them where it's dirty. Let's say Patrick Mahomes, let's say he actually accidentally throws an interception, right? And then they're running it back. He's running to tackle him. And as he's running to tackle him, he grabs him by the face mask and slings him into the sideline as he's going, right? That would be considered a dirty play. Or let's say Steph Curry is balls get stolen, somebody's going to the basket for a dunk, and he kind of bumps them in there, takes their legs out, right? That's a dirty play, okay? The difference in a dirty play versus a dirty player is that player has a unique reputation for doing dirty plays. So I'll give you the football, the gentleman who just got fined for the hit on Trevor Lawrence. Jaguar. So let me go back to what was his name?
It was Al Shakir.
Al Shakir. So Al Shakir, Trevor Lawrence, if you didn't see about a week ago, he's sliding, he's running the ball. Al Shakir. He's running the football, and you know, as a quarterback, once you run, you're not given the same protections. But as he was sliding, once you slide, you give yourself up. Well, Al Shahir, I'll get his name. Al Shahir. Yeah, Aziz Al Shahir lunged towards him and hit him in the head with his shoulder, giving him a concussion. It was a nasty play, right? Now, so that's a dirty play. But when you look at the history of this gentleman, Al Shahir, he has a history of those. Not just that, not all of those hits, but he had an incident where he punched somebody on the sideline, and the dude he punched on the sideline was just kind of standing there. He just happened to be in the wrong place, wrong time, and Al Shahir got up. You know, the other guys on the team, give full context, the other guys on the team were like woofing at him and kind of roughing him and pushing him. But when he got up, he hit the only guy who wasn't doing any of that. He's had a couple of other hits. I know he hit New Orleans Saints quarterback Derek Carr. He hit him a really bad hit. He was fined for it. He got fined for it looked like a chokehold, excuse me, on Tom Brady. So he has a history. So you could kind of put him in that quote unquote dirty player, right? If I go to NBA, Draymond Green. Draymond Green has been in walking that fine line of being a dirty player. He flails his arms, he flails his legs. He's hit multiple people. He hit Joseph Jerk. Gosh, I can't think of his name. He's a player from the Phoenix Suns. He hit him. He chokehold Rudy Gobert. He kicked LeBron in the privates during the finals that everybody knows cost them the championship. So he's considered a dirty player, right? So I'm bringing this up because sometimes if you do something in the heat, you're not necessarily a dirty player. You might have just made a dirty play, right? Like I've never been somebody that was a dirty player, and the reason why I can distinguish the two is because I've played against people like that. I played against a guy that caused my second ACL tear on my right knee. I crossed him up, and he fell. And as I was going to pull up a jump shot, he lunged into my right leg. Right. I had another guy who did the same thing. We were fighting for a loose ball, and he got up and lunged into my leg. And this guy I have history with. I had history with of him doing dirty things. So I would consider him a dirty player. So when we have to be careful of labeling simply because sometimes people aren't excuse me, people aren't dirty players. They just made a dirty play. And that's what we always have to look at. This portion is sponsored by 915 Carpet Cleaning. They take care of all of your needs, whether it's residential or commercial, whether it's flooring or carpet. 915 Carpet Cleaning, they get the job done. Look up 915 Carpet Cleaning. The carpet cleaner you know before you need one. All right. It's like I've been talking okay, and then all of a sudden my voice is getting a little hoarse. All right, next thing I want to talk about is the Cowboys versus the Bengals. Last night's game. And I'm just going to sum it up with bad teams do bad things. All right, Cowboys 5-8 now. At time was 5-7. Bengals were 4-8 at the time. It was a pretty good game, right? And if you take away the records, it was an interesting game. They were both both making defensive stops. They both moved the ball when they needed to. Second half, it seems like Cincinnati started to do a better job defensively against Dallas, and they weren't able to push the ball down the field. Well, okay, it's 20-20. Okay, Cincinnati has the ball with right around 2 minutes. They're trying to push the ball, but bad team. They make 2 or 3 offensive back. They had calls against them. Offensive passing. It was an offensive holding. I think offensive. It was a couple of holding calls. So they ended up not being able to, move the ball. They were going when they got the ball. They were in perfect position. But after all of those penalties, they ended up going backwards. So they have to punt. So they punt the ball. Score's tied. Dallas is going to get it with a pretty good chance to maybe try to move the ball in field goal position. Look, with that kicker with Dallas, you only have to get the ball on the 2-yard line. He could probably kick a 300-yard field goal. He's been that good with kicking, right? He kicks from distance. So you feel like, okay, yeah, they're going to probably be able to put themselves in a position to win this game. And then the punt is blocked, partially blocked. Well, the rule is, as the ball goes 10 yards from where it was kicked, the defensive team who blocked the punt, you stay away from it. You don't touch it. Because if you touch it, now it becomes a live ball. Offense can get it. Well, one of the players from the Cowboys tried to field the ball, and he fumbled it. Cincinnati recovers a fumble. 2 or 3 plays later, they score touchdown. That was the game. Dallas got an opportunity, but it wasn't enough time for them to try to move the ball downfield. So bad teams do bad things because good teams you're probably not going to have that. And the only thing I want to add is people on that on the talk shows and stuff. It's the head coach. Like, nah, man, you can't. You got to stop putting shit all over the head coach. If you watch Hard Knocks, there's a new episode of Hard Knocks. It's called In Season, and it's covering the AFC North. You listen to these coordinators. You listen to these coaches talk. They're telling you what you need to do. This dude just made as I've always called him, a low IQ play. He made a low IQ play. That's on him. What is the coach supposed to do? The coach can. I've seen where players have been told, "Hey, we don't got no timeouts." Okay, and everybody will acknowledge it. There's no timeouts. And then in the heat of the game, you lose your senses and somebody calls a timeout when you don't have it. Hell, the coach for Miami Heat, Eric Spoelstra, he called a timeout and they didn't have a timeout. So those kind of things happen. You just got to chalk it up as, he lost at a lapse in judgment. He wasn't mentally focused. He made a low IQ play. Those things happen. So bad teams do bad things, but I would suggest we stop putting the onus on the coaches. It's not like the coaches just say, "Hey, just go out there and do what you feel." If the ball comes over, yeah, jump on it, just go ahead and get the ball, whatever. No, that kind of stuff doesn't happen. So your coach, let's stop putting it on people that aren't actually participating in it. Because if he didn't try to touch the ball, Dallas gets the ball like on the 40, 45-yard line with a chance to just go ahead and run the clock out and win. Okay, so next I'm going to go into a couple of things, 2 other items. The first thing was, all right, so my lovely wife, had a procedure I had to take her to. And as we were in the waiting room, we kind of got fascinated with this show. It's an auction show. And what this show is it's an what they do is they go to these places and then people bring in stuff, right? So you can bring in some old painting that you found that you have that's been in the attic or in the in the back room or something for 30, 40 years that was handed down by your great grandparents or something, and you could take it there and they'll tell you about it, and then they'll tell you if it's worth something. So some people will say, "Hey, I bought this. It's been in my family for, such years." And they give you a price. And a lot of times some of this stuff is sold for a lot. It's called Antique Roadshow, right? My wife was telling me that, they once partook in it when it came to Albuquerque, thinking that they had an item that my wife's mother had mentioned. Yeah, I think it's worth something, but it didn't pan out. So like we were watching the show, and some items were like they pay like $10 for them, and then it's like, okay, so it ends up being worth $900. There's been some that was worth like 50,000, 80,000, stuff like that. And it really depends. Like you can have something 400 years old and it might not be worth anything. You could have something from the 1920s and it could be worth, a lot of money. So it got to thinking, like, what's the most that anybody has ever, sold for, right? Well, the weirdest thing, and I think it's my phone, they listening to us. After we had this conversation, I would say within 48 hours, an article pops up. And this article details this guy who his grandmother was, was getting ready to pass, and she was passing on an item to him, and she told him, "Look, this item's there. It's gonna belong to you." It was passed down from, I think, her great grandparents, and it was a painting, right? And I think they said they bought it somewhere for $10 or something like that. So they've had this painting. So he gets it and he's like, okay, well, let me, see if it's worth anything. He goes to a New York auction place, takes the painting there, shows him the painting. They tell him, it's not worth anything. You're wasting your time. It's not going to be worth anything. So he says, okay, but he's kind of like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's worth something. So he starts to get on the internet, does some research. Then he takes it to some like international auction place and he says, look, I was told it wasn't worth anything, but I'm not sure. I think it's worth something, right? They look at it. Apparently it was I think it was a Picasso. And there was a point in time where he was doing these different paintings, and it was unusual that he did it around that time. And he put his thumbprint on it. It was almost like he was like saying, this is my painting, right? So he put his thumbprint on it. So they looked and they were like, oh, okay. And they were researching and everything. And then it was like, oh, yeah, the detail. Because that's how they do. They say, oh, yeah, notice the detail in the structure. It's just almost time. It was during the period of this. And this is what he was fascinated with, right? Like they really ham it up. And they really make you like, ooh, man, my shit going to be worth a lot. And then they say, unfortunately, this isn't worth anything. Well, in this case, through research and analyzing and looking at all of this stuff, they verified that it was a Picasso. And because it was rare, because he used his thumbprint was on the painting, the damn thing was worth $25 to $30 million. Let that sink in. Like, first thing I'm doing, if they tell me that, obviously I gotta get me a team of assassins to follow me to make sure nobody trying to take my painting. But you know where I'm going, right? I'm going back over to that New York auction, and I'm talking to the head person. Say, yeah, this dude, yeah, you need to fire his ass. What are you talking about? Yeah, I just got with some people who verified. Yeah, this worth $25-30 million, and he said it wasn't worth nothing. That's so crazy that you could have that stuff in your house. Now, I've been looking around like, ooh, that's a cardboard poster. I wonder what it's worth, Ooh, is that tissue? Does it have some writing on it? That's what I'm doing now. Walking around like, oh, no, I was writing on that because I didn't have no notebook paper, so I was writing notes. So, now, it's just crazy how you can find something. And I think some people do it for a living. Some people go purchase things. They try to research it. And then they try to go sell it, see if they can make money. But imagine finding something that you didn't think was worth anything and finding out that it was worth millions. And my wife and I was having a conversation, and I was like, well, would you keep it? She was like, yeah, I would keep it in family. I was like, shit, I'm selling that. I am selling that. There's no way I'm keeping something because you got to worry about somebody coming over the house. And, if I'm going to keep it, I'm going to have it in like bulletproof glass or something. Like hey man, get your kids away from my painting. I'm not trying to have nobody near anything, but I'm not keeping it. I'm selling it. No, let somebody else put it up, and I'll tell them, hey, make sure you put a picture of me, that I was the one who discovered it and I sold it to you. That'll be what I'll put, a picture of that picture. I'll put it in the house. But nah, I'm not keeping nothing for no 25 million. I'm selling that, and we doing it big. We not turning it up. We just doing it big with that 25 mil. All right, so let's get down to business. Now, I watch Inside the NBA on TNT. Y'all all know that. I talk about it frequently. They actually have a segment with Charles Barkley that says who he played for. So with Barkley's on, what they do is they flash all of these different players. And Charles Barkley has to sit around and tell them what team that player played for, right? And he's always wrong, right? They ask him 5, he might get 1 most of the time. But it's really funny because they make fun of him. Well, lo and behold, I'm having a conversation with my lovely wife. And look, I'm not saying lovely wife because she's here. I do. We can go back. I have said lovely wife before, so I don't want y'all to say, "Oh man, he just saying it because she here." We had a discussion, and she was asking me about, teams. Like she wants to know because she's a Saints fan. I've mentioned that. Stop laughing. But she's wanting to know more about the game, right? And she's done a very good job. Now, when it comes to the Saints, she knows the players, the personnel. She probably knows the people in the back that cook the dinners and stuff. But she wanted to know like all the names of the teams and the divisions. So I quizzed her. She was like, "Okay, help me." And I was giving her the names and selling it, and she couldn't get it. We went like 6 times and she couldn't get it. So she finally got it, right? And then like, some days, almost a week went by, and I mentioned something, and I just asked her, and she drew this blank. So I thought it was funny as hell. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring you on the podcast, and I'm going to quiz you in front of all of these people to see if you know your NFL divisions. So I want to welcome Miss April Case. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so we're going to get this started. So the first question I'm going to ask you with, do you know your NFL division is? How many divisions are there in the NFL, in the AFC?
4.
Okay, in the NFC.
4.
So total it's
8.
All right, look, my baby know how to count. All right.
I would hope so.
All right, so I'm gonna ask her a division. No. I'm not gonna ask her a division. I'm gonna ask her a few teams. Okay, so I'm gonna ask the team. You tell me what division they are. All right, let's start with a really easy one. New Orleans Saints.
NFC South.
Woo! Ding, 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 ding. We need a ding, 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 ding button over here. All right, let's go with Arizona Cardinals.
NFC West.
Okay, all right. So my question that probably needs to be is, how long do I have to give her before she answers? I probably need to say maybe about 5 seconds. She doesn't answer it in 5 seconds, then it done.
That's not fair. There was no rules.
Okay, all right.
Okay, don't give me too long.
Yeah, we
too long.
we only got a certain amount of time on the podcast. So, all right. So let's go with another one. Buffalo Bills.
AFC East.
Good. Oh, she cooking right now. How about the Dallas Cowboys?
NFC East.
Good.
That's a tricky one.
Good.
Very tricky.
Good. Okay.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Good. Yeah, I know, because Dallas is not on the East Coast. Yeah, good. So I'm going to switch it up a little. Give me the AFC West teams.
AFC West teams are going to be the... Oh, gosh. Okay, the Chargers, the LA Chargers. Uh-huh. The Denver Broncos. Mm-hmm. The Raiders. Mm-hmm. And
no.
Hold on.
This is what she kept doing. No. She kept saying, hold on. And I'm like, I ain't saying nothing.
Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, and Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, okay. Woo!
Whew.
Boy, that was close.
Tough. Tough.
All right. Tough. What division is Jacksonville Jaguars in?
They're in the AFC South.
Good. All right. Name the AFC North teams.
The AFC North teams, you've got the Baltimore Ravens, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got the Browns, and the Bengals. Good.
New York Giants
is the NFC East.
All right. Texans?
AFC South.
All right. Dolphins?
AFC East.
All right. Name the NFC North teams.
The NFC North teams are going to be the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, the the Vikings, and the Packers.
All right. Good job. Good job. Good job. Okay. So let's move on to coaches.
Ugh. I am not good at this one, but we'll try it. We'll try it.
She
This
wasn't.
is a hard one.
She wasn't expecting that one.
A lot of coaches have gotten fired, so
Well, I'm gonna give you an easy one first.
okay.
The Saints.
It's Darren Rizzi right now.
All right, Rizzy. I like his name. He's a fiery guy. Who's the coach for the Bengals?
Don't know that one.
Ah, see, I know she wouldn't. I know y'all like, oh man, that's not fair. You asking her the coach's name and stuff. We're gonna go back to teams. How about that? We just go back to
You can
teams.
ask me players, maybe.
Players.
I'm pretty good with some players.
Okay.
Yeah.
Name a player from Tennessee Titans.
From Tennessee Titans is going to be Will Levis.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you one last question.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of something. I don't want to try to trip you up too much. Who's going to Super Bowl?
I think it's going to be the Detroit Lions against Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. Because I guess what I should have said is who's not going to the Super Bowl?
The New Orleans Saints. Or the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey. The
Or the Atlanta Falcons.
Hey. The commentary by April Case does not reflect the Time to Ball podcast. Her expressions are hers on her own. I don't want no Dallas fan. Because I told the audience about the time that somebody egged my car because I put the Super Bowl champion rings, but they were handcuffs on my car, thinking that was cute, and they egged my car. So I'm not trying to get somebody, running and egging my facility because of what you said about the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, I really appreciate it. You did well. I didn't ask you all the teams, but the teams that she stumbled upon every time I asked them were the ones that I wanted to get. And it's funny because she says the Kansas City Chiefs are her second favorite team, and she almost didn't get them on for that 4.
My mind just went blank at that time.
I know. I know.
I was under pressure.
And I didn't ask her. I didn't tell her about coming on the podcast until like 10 minutes before. And I probably should have took her phone because I know she was like looking at it all the time. Like, ooh, let me make sure I refresh. I shouldn't have did that. I should have just said, give me the phone. Hey, come on in here. I'm going to ask you these questions and we go.
I only looked at it once.
Yeah. Once is too many. So I didn't want her to look at it that many. But I really appreciate you coming on the show, Miss Lady. I'm going to let you go so you can do whatever it is you do. Go make me a ham sandwich, girl.
Thank
All right.
you for having me.
Thank you, sweetie. All right. So now we're going to move on to basketball ideology. Now, basketball ideology today, I'm going to discuss just 2 things. The first thing I'm going to discuss is things. Okay, well, instead of reading it, sometimes it feels weird when I'm reading it. All right, so I had trainings, and it's the weirdest thing. I had trainings. Obviously, I have trainings, all the time. But I had a series of trainings this week that were all the same, where I in each different training, I executed. We were, talking about things that they wanted to get better at or what they struggled with, what they wanted to work on in that particular training. So I, started working on whether it was, coming off a screen, catch, shoot, coming off screen, catch, pump fake, one dribble, understanding which way the defender was coming. So, the percentages of where you're probably going to get the best shot in that scenario if you're going to do one dribble pull. And throughout this, I do what I call progressive drills where the drill is one thing, but then I expand on it so you have so many different options right? So just to give you a quick example, we could start with a come over the screen, catch and shoot, right? And then now you're gonna come over the screen, pump fake because the defender's ready for it now, and you're gonna pump fake, get the defender off their feet, one dribble, pull, right? And then next it'll be catch it, pump fake, one dribble, step back. Then it'll be catch, one dribble, step back, hesitate, attack the basket with a cross. And then it'll be, you know, catch, pump fake, one dribble, step back, cross, two dribble, spin move, layup, right? So I could go on and on, but it's the progression of the move, and I add different layers to help them understand. Well, there were certain drills that I did that, I would just do the drill just so they could see it. I'd explain it to them, and then I always try to walk through it, and then I do it in regular speed so they can kind of get a sense of where they need to be, how they need to be. And I swear, in 4 different occasions on all these different drills, after I did them, the kids were looking at me like, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, hold on. What did you do? Can you redo that again? Now, these were anywhere from, this was, one elementary kid. Obviously, I would assume that. But the rest were high level, close to middle school and high school kids. When I say high level, I'm not saying they're top in the country, but where they're at right now in their development, they're really good. They're really picking up things. They're really producing on their teams and stuff, right? So I was surprised because some of them couldn't get these simple techniques that I was doing that, it wasn't something that somebody taught me. I mean, it was kind of learned, but it was natural for me to do it. So I'll give you an example. One was you're at the in the corner, guy comes down, sets the screen, and then you cut back door, right? So as you cut back door, you give him the pass. So obviously, if you catch it, you cut into the basket, you should be able to get like a catch and shoot layup, right? But then what I'd expanded on that was sometimes that defender's going to be there, and like, well, what do you do? Oh, well, I come back out. I was like, no, we want to catch the ball and be aggressive with our body to kind of use a bump to create the space and go up and do a layup. So I showed them how to do it with catch, using your body, taking a dribble, and using your body at the same time, and then coming to an aggressive jump stop and finishing with a layup. Took them a while to actually get comfortable with doing it, right? So then I showed them and said, look, there are going to be times where you're not able to lay it up off the backboard. You're going to have to be able to lay it up right over the rim, because I am one who likes to teach people how to have everything available to them. So there are going to be times where the angle doesn't allow you to use the backboard. You're going to have to go right over the rim, right? And there are coaches who say, no, you always use backboard. No. People who say you always... Okay, hold on. Let me backtrack, because there might be a situation where you should always do A or B or C. But in most situations, you need to be able to have flexibility to do stuff. And I get that some coaches tell you not to do it because it's more of they don't trust that you understand how to. And some coaches don't think about the fact that they never were in that situation and they knew how to do it differently. So I want to at least give them that to where they know that, hey, you know what? If I'm here, I can do this. This is what I want to do, but if they take that away, I have a counter, right? So I got him there, and instead of using the backboard, we went up with our left hand. And it was so foreign to him. Like, he could shoot with his left hand, dribble. He could shoot left-hand layups. He's, pretty decent with it, but he was stuck. And then when I did the same move and I turned as I went up and shot it with my right hand, his mouth just dropped. Like, he didn't conceive the ability to do what I just did in a game. He saw it, but he had never grasped the concept, and then it was really hard for him to try to practice to be able to get his body to do it. And it was surprising because I was like, well, it just kind of comes natural, right? And then another one of my trainings, same thing, working on a concept with um, backdoor pass, and it was going to be a left hand pass, and most of them kept trying to make the pass with both hands, and it was like, no, you need to make the pass with your left hand, and it took them some time to get used to that. But the point I'm making is I've learned throughout the years that I've been doing this that some things that come natural to some, they don't come natural to others, and that's where I think a key point of me being a trainer um, is really important, because I could have easily said, "Oh, well, you just got to practice it," or, "Well, you know what? We're not going to try that. We're not going to work on that because you can't do it." I took time to show them how to put the building blocks and foundation to get comfortable with that. And as they got comfortable with it, then will they actually do it in the game? Who knows? But my point in doing it was, if this point comes up, how to handle it if whatever it is comes up. So it's always fascinating to me. It was just the reason I'm mentioning it, because it does happen. It happens a lot, but it's never happened as frequently as it's happened within the last 5 days, where multiple trainings I've had in those 5 days, kids were saying, "How did you do that?" Right? And it was something simple that I did that they didn't understand with how I did it, because of the footwork I used, the body control, and those type of things. So, um, shout out to them for wanting to learn something new, and being patient enough to understand that sometimes it's going to take you a little bit longer to do it. And hopefully, as time goes by, they'll be able to tell me, hey, I executed that move perfectly that you showed me. I now can add this, to my game. And that's a lot of the stuff that I talk to whenever I come in. Whenever they come in, I ask them, hey, what did you work on? What did you try to apply in the game? And they tell me those type of stuff, and that's kind of how we start the practice, by the training, by that, because I'm gathering information as to what I want to do with them. But it was just kind of fascinating that things that come naturally to me, they don't always come natural to others. And you can apply that in life and everything. So, you want to kind of be patient sometimes if somebody's not getting it. Because Lord knows that there have been a couple of kids where I did something like, I showed them like 10 times. And by time number 8, I'm like, I don't understand I'm saying myself, I don't understand how you're not understanding what I'm trying to show you. But, you know, I have to put my thought aside and just remain patient with that kid. I can't pull my hair out because I don't have no hair. So I just gotta, suck it up and make sure that I'm showing them, because sometimes it could be me. Maybe I'm not showing them correctly, right? And I have to figure out a different way. So it is fascinating when it comes to those things. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is positive reinforcement. So my question is, how long do you give positive reinforcement until you don't anymore? So here's what I mean. Okay, so let's say you're a coach, and as a coach, you are uh, telling the kids, you're telling your kid, hey, I need you when you close out on defense, you don't have your hand up. They're gonna shoot, right? So in the course of a game, every time the kid closes out, he doesn't close out with his hand up, and he gives up a shot. So in practice after the game, you talk to him, hey, I need you to get your hand up on the closeout. You didn't close up with your hand up, and he made a shot, right? Okay, so next game you have, and kids in help position, And then he goes, ball goes out, he runs out, doesn't close out with his hand up, you give up a shot. We need to get better at closing out with our hand up. And you go over it with film. You watch it on film with them, with the team. Lo and behold, games keep coming, and that kid keeps not closing up with their hand up. And every time that happens, that team, that person is getting an open shot and knocking down that three. So what do you do? Do you continue to try to have them to keep working on it? Because the key point is you keep trying to have them to work on it. But if you've seen it happen 4 different times, and in each time there was no extra effort to get your hand up, then they're either not grasping, to me, they're either not grasping the concept, or maybe they don't really care or think it's important. Because let me put it this way. Let's say after the first or second time you told them, right? First time you tell them, they don't whirl their hand up. So the next time they close out, their hand isn't up, but they bring their hand kind of forward low. Like their hand is in front, but it's like pointing down towards the floor, right? Okay. So then the next time you go and the hand is straight, right? So it's straight as opposed to pointing down. Next time you tell them the hand is starting to go up, but it's never up. So 4 times they didn't do it the way you covered it, because you covered it in practice and you showed them, this is where I need your hand to be. So you demonstrate where their hand needs to be. And then you have them to do it. And then they do it in practice and their hand is up. Sometimes it's not. But you let them look at it so they can see it. But in games, they don't execute it. So if it's that where the hand is kind of moving, but it never moves up to where you need it, I guess you can say there's some progression. We just got to keep at it. But if your hands never go up at all, how long do you try to keep positive enforcement? Do you just keep doing it? Do you bench the kid? Do you cut into the kid's playing time? How do you do it? Some would say, maybe I need to take a different approach and talk with the kid and the parents about that. Now, I know I'm in Fantasy Island because I know coaches aren't going to have the time to do all of those things. They don't have the time. Now, if it's me and I know that this kid is really helpful, this kid's a key component, I might have to take some time just to figure out, maybe by talking to the kid's mom and say, hey, he or she has messed up several times. I can show you the film. We keep discussing it. We keep working with him. He does it sometimes in practice, but in the game he doesn't, they don't do it. Is there any insight you can give me to help them understand that? That might be something, coach maybe could do. I don't know if coaches are inclined. Do you just get frustrated and say, okay, you know what? Until you can start doing what we need, I'm gonna have to take you out. I can't play you in crucial minutes, because those shots add up. Other teams scout and they say, hey man, he doesn't close out with his hands up, right? So how long do you give positive reinforcement until you don't anymore? It's a fascinating thought, because I know some instances where I know that kids have been cut or some have been cut because they didn't know, they had never known about closing out. It's the first time they come into it when they're trying out as a freshman. They don't know decent defensive concepts and stuff because they haven't really been playing organized ball, right? Those kids get cut because they didn't know. To me, that's different than kids who have been playing, they know, and they just kind of don't do it. But at the same time, what do you do? I'm really curious. I would love to hear, you know, thoughts. Do you bench the kid and you just move on? Do you cut the kid's playing time? Do you try to put that kid in a situation where they don't have to deal with that? So instead of a man to man, maybe you do zone. Or maybe you do like a 1-2-2 trap and you put that kid on the ball to where that kid is always on the ball trapping everywhere, right? So now you don't have to worry about that kid closing out because that kid is active with whatever. There's no point of that offense where that kid's not active, right? I mean, but there's always going to be a point where you can put that kid in a situation where that kid has to close out, right? So it's a crazy question because of the fact that you hear situations where coaches get frustrated with stuff and they cut their playing time. So I'm just wondering, to those of you out there listening, when do you stop giving positive reinforcement when you're coaching, right? So it's a fascinating topic. I hope to get some feedback. I got some feedback from the last one about kids, parents, picking their kids up and taking them to practice, quinceañera practice and stuff. And, the comments. Let me actually find the comment from this person who was actually a coach. And they said, I heard you talking about how parents hurt their kids by pulling them out of practice and games due to family vacations. I can't agree with you more. I hope I don't have to deal with that in middle school, especially when every player gets playing time. So I appreciate the feedback from the coach on that. Let me know what y'all think on that. I think I might have to try to frame this and put this out there because I want to know. I'm part of some basketball groups, so maybe I'll put that in there. So, look, that was all for today. I hope you enjoyed the what division are you? We'll try to put out some grades to see how Miss April did. I think she passed. There was one that I was a little nervous about, but hey, like, subscribe, follow, comment. Right now I'm everywhere and I'm about to start doing some more things. So stay tuned for that. Always remember the way I end it. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I'm out.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.